Hey everyone, my name is Robert Hall, and in today's video we're going to be going over how to control the GODOX AD600 Pro. So first things first, when you put it on a stand, make sure that you tighten it down. That way you know it's not going anywhere. Now the locking nut can go in either of these two holes, but for a stand attachment like this, you're going to need the bottom one because the stand attachment won't go high enough up here. Now once you've got the light attached to a stand, you can use this tilt control arm to tilt it downward or upward. So counterclockwise releases the tension and allows you to tilt it. Just rotate it back clockwise once you've got it in the position that you like. And really it only takes like a really minor turn to go from locking to open. Make sure not to over tighten this too much. Try to only tighten it to the point where it's going to hold whatever modifier you're using right in place. Now up top here, this is the release for the Bowens mount modifiers. So if we take something like the stock reflector that has a Bowens mount on it, just click it on, rotate it slightly clockwise, and you'll hear that lock, and that tells you that your modifier is on. To release it, just pull it back, rotate the modifier counterclockwise, and your modifier will come right off. The battery release is at the bottom here, so once you pull it towards you, you're able to push the battery upwards, and that'll release it. And to attach it, just make sure that all four of these pins are aligned. It's going to sit flush with the body, then press down, and it'll lock into place. On the flash, the power button is right down here, so you just press up inward towards the flash itself, and then the display will pop on. So let's talk about some of the buttons here. First, bottom right, we have the test button. If you press this, it will test fire the flash at whatever power level you have set. Next we have the sound button. Pressing that will turn the sound on, and when you hit the test button, whenever the light recycles, when it's ready for another flash, you'll hear a beep. So you'll see if we increase the power all the way to full using the main dial and hit test, now the beep takes a longer time in between. Also, this indicator right here on the side, if it's not lit up, that means it's not ready to flash again. But once it's lit up, then it's ready to go. Okay, to the left of that sound button, we have the modeling lamp control. As you can see right now on the display, it says off in the bottom right corner. That's where you can see information on the modeling lamp. If I press it once, the modeling lamp is going to turn on. If I hold it, I can now use the main dial to control the power anywhere from its lowest of 10% all the way up to 100%. You can hear that fan kick on while it's in use. The fan stays on unless the light is below 20%. Now while it's highlighted, that means it's still active, so hitting set will make sure that that power is set and it can't be changed. Now your control goes back to flash instead of the LED. Now pressing the modeling lamp button again will switch from percentage to proportionate. Now you can hear that that fan kicked on, and that's because we're at a high flash power. So proportionate mode is going to make the brightness of the modeling lamp correlate with the brightness of the flash. So as I turn this down, the modeling lamp will get dimmer, and eventually that fan will cut out again. Proportionate is good if you're using multiple lights because you can kind of use it to determine which light is more powerful on your subject, just like the flash will be in the final result. Okay, above the modeling lamp button, we have the high-speed sync button. Clicking it, you'll see this H pop up at the top of the display. That just means high-speed sync is active. You can use high-speed sync at any power level on this flash. So you should never have to hit this button because that's all going to be handled by your trigger and activating high-speed sync on your camera, and of course having your shutter speed be higher than your maximum sync speed. We're going to skip up to the top row here for a second. We've got the mode button. This will change between multi, TTL, and manual. Now just like high-speed sync, whatever you select on this will be overridden when using a X series trigger. And TTL mode will not work when you're using the sync jack for other systems if you're trying to trigger this with a pocket wizard or something. So really the only thing that you would use this for is switching between manual and stroboscopic mode when using with a pocket wizard or any other type of radio system, which you can find the sync jack to up top here. So right now wireless is on and we are in channel 5. If I hit this button, that will disappear because there is now no wireless function, which just means that this light is not attempting to receive a signal from a wireless trigger. This is something that you can turn on when you're using with an external trigger such as the Pocket Wizard. Now, unless you're trying to use this light with other types of triggers such as Pocket Wizard or Yongnuo because you have some other lights, there is just no reason to turn this off. The whole great thing about using this light is that it's compatible with a trigger that can control its output, its mode, everything about it from the trigger without ever having to come up and interface with the light itself. But sometimes people don't realize that they might have hit this button and this is off. So if you're having trouble connecting to your light, make sure that that's on in the top left corner. On the far right, we have the group and channel button. Pressing group will advance between the 5 groups A through E. Holding the button, you'll see a bar pop up. The channel is now activated for a change, and we can use the main dial to change the channel anywhere from 1 to 32. Press set once you've confirmed your channel, that way you can use it. And lastly, we have the menu. This is where all the custom functions are. So these are things that aren't going to be accessible on your trigger, and you're going to have to come up and interface with the light to make these type of adjustments. So first off, we've got color stable mode, whether to turn that on or off. With color stable mode on, the light will experience less color shifts as you change the output of the light. With it off, it's simply going to have a little bit more color shift. When off, it'll vary about plus or minus 200 Kelvin. When on, it'll vary about plus or minus 50 Kelvin. Now, one note here, right now I have them off. We're going to get out of the menu, and you can see the T.1 flash duration in the bottom left corner. This is the action stopping potential of this light at this power. You can notice it goes up and down as we change the output. But T.1 flash duration of 1/2770, so 1 over about 3000. If I go in here and I turn color mode on, exit the menu again, you can see now I'm at 1/1700. So my action stopping potential just dropped when I have color stable mode on. Up next, we have the slave mode. This is if you want the light to be optically triggered by another flash. Off will ignore any other flashes. It will not trigger. S1 will trigger with any type of flash that it sees. So if you have a manual flash that you are trying to trigger this with, remember this spot right here is what needs to see the other flash. Then this will automatically fire with any of that. S2, this is if you're using another flash that is in TTL that will have a pre-flash and then its actual powered flash. If you want the second flash to sync and not the TTL, then you use S2. So if you're using a system like CLS to try and trigger this light optically, then you want it to be in S2. Again, if we're just using the trigger, we're going to keep that off. Next is the modeling lamp control. The top one will keep it on continuously, which means that even if we fire the flash, the modeling lamp stays on the entire time. Now in this mode, it's going to dim as the flash recycles. So let's exit out again. And as we test, it's really quick, but you can see that modeling lamp powers off for a brief period. Now in the second option, however, if we go back, we have the modeling lamp on, and we fire our flash, it drops really quickly. It drops, gets dim for a second, and then it powers back on. Back in the menu, we have standby. There's a few options for standby. We have off, meaning that this light will never automatically turn off. And then we have 30, 60, 90, and 120 minutes. So say you want to conserve battery and you worry that you might walk away without turning this off, then you can use this option, 30 minutes, so that it turns off after 30 minutes automatically. But if you want it to stay on and be ready for action, say you've got this in the corner at some type of wedding venue and you're going to sit down for dinner, but you want it to be ready to go for as soon as things start picking up again, you can leave it at 120 minutes or just turn it off altogether. One note here, regardless of that setting, if you have the modeling lamp on, the modeling lamp will automatically turn off after 30 minutes regardless of what the standby time is set at. Light refers to the display light, so you have a few options here. You have 15 seconds, off, or on. So the light can always be on, it can always be off, in which it's very tough to see, or it can be at 15 seconds. I leave it at 15 seconds because I want it to be on while I'm using it, especially if I'm outdoors. You really need this light to see what's going on in the display. But after 15 seconds, you know it's going to dim. That way you're not wasting battery using this light on your display. Delay. This is if you're trying to purposely have a delay between when your radio triggers a flash and when your flash goes off. You can see if I start turning right here, we are increasing the delay by hundredths of a second. So very, very tiny delays here. This is useful if you're using another type of radio system and you're trying to use hypersync instead of high speed sync. Now these next two options, units and alt, are both specific to a feature called alt masking, which if you want to find out more about, you can see that in a video right up here in the top right corner. But to be quick, the units function allows you to select how many lights are in the alt mask, and the alt function allows you to turn the feature on or off and select which light this is going to be in the alt masking function. So if I put 4 alt in this, that means I'm going to have 4 options when I get here to choose which light this is in the sequence. This is really only applicable to product photography, but it is really powerful for making masks. So if you're interested in that, again, check out the video in the top right corner to learn more. But basically, if you're not trying to do any alt masking, just make sure that this feature stays off. The LCD option controls the LCD contrast anywhere from -3 to +3. Just keep that up nice and high so that you can see it clearly. ID function, this is to make sure that nobody else can trigger your light. You have control between 0, 1, and 99 for a custom ID for your lighting gear. So you can set up all your lights to be on ID 82, and unless somebody else is using the same group, the same channel, and ID 82, nobody else can trigger your light. And finally, reset allows you to reset to the defaults of this light, so get rid of anything that you might have just changed. And in the top right corner, you can see the version number of the firmware. Right now, this light is at 1.3. I think current right now is actually 1.5. Now, while this video is all about controlling the 8600 Pro, if instead you're looking for how to sync it up with a trigger or use multiple lights with a trigger, you can watch this video up here instead. Hey guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. Leave a like if it helped you out. Subscribe if you'd like to see more videos on Flashpoint and GODOX products. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. Until next time, keep on shooting.